All right, let's talk about something we've all felt. You know that moment of confusion, even frustration, when a product you love just changes without any warning? It turns out the line between a product you trust and one you ditch often comes down to one simple thing: how it talks about change. And we're going to dive into why this seemingly tiny detail is actually a secret growth engine.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You open up an app you use every single day and wait a minute, that button is gone. The menu's moved, and your whole muscle memory is just broken. That little jolt of confusion, that feeling of what just happened? That's what happens when change is silent. And yeah, it seems like a small thing, but it quietly eats away at the trust you have in that product.
And really, this is the whole idea right here. What separates the good products from the truly great, high-trust ones is how clearly they communicate change. See, building something amazing isn't just about shipping code. It's about earning and, more importantly, keeping the trust of your users. The best companies out there, they treat communication like a feature, not some chore they do at the end.
So let's put a name on this problem. We'll call them silent releases. And you can see why they happen, right? From the inside, it feels super efficient. You push the code, close the ticket, and boom, you're on to the next thing. But from the outside, for the user, it sends a really different message. It says, hey, changes happened to you, not for you. And that little feeling, over time, it's just death by 1,000 cuts for user trust.
Okay, so how do we fix this? What's the antidote to silent releases? Well, it all starts with changing how we think about the humble changelog. Seriously, it's not just some boring technical list of bug fixes. It's way, way more important than that. Think of it like a promise. Exactly. It's a communication contract. That's a huge mental shift, isn't it? It's a public record that basically says to your users, hey, we promise that things won't just change out from under you. We'll tell you what's happening. And once you make that public commitment to being transparent, the changelog stops being just a list and starts being a real strategic asset. Now, to get really crystal clear on what a changelog is, it's super helpful to talk about what it isn't. There are a few common traps people fall into, so let's break them down. Okay, first things first. Your changelog is not your developer's commit log. I mean, nobody wants to read that raw feed. A commit log is for engineers. It's all about the nitty-gritty, the code level changes, the how something got built. But a changelog, that's for your users. Its entire job is to translate all that technical work into something they care about. It's about the why this matters to them. Number two, it is absolutely not a marketing announcement. It can be tempting, I know, to sprinkle in some marketing magic, some hype. But marketing's job is to persuade. A changelog's job is to inform. It needs to have this neutral, factual tone. The second you start filling it with buzzwords and a million exclamation points, you actually kill its credibility. Its power comes from being objective. And last but not least, it's not your support knowledge base. Think of it this way. Your support docs explain how a feature works right now. It's a snapshot of the current state. A changelog, though, explains what's different from before. It's a timeline, a record of the product's evolution. It's meant to be scannable so you can quickly get up to speed on what's new.
All right, this brings us to the changelog's best friend, the release note. This is where it gets really interesting. If you think of the changelog as the ledger, the complete chronological, factual record of every single thing that changed, then the release notes, they're the narrative. They're the story you tell about those changes.
And this example just makes it so clear. Look at the changelog entry, the ledger. Improved dashboard load times by optimizing query execution. Super factual, very precise, a little dry, right? Now look at the release note, the narrative. Dashboards now load up to 40% faster. See that? It's immediately focused on the user benefit. Reducing wait times for daily reporting. It's all about the story, not just the technical fact. So yeah, release notes have a very specific job to do. Their whole purpose is to explain the why behind a change, to really shine a spotlight on how it's going to impact the user. They can even help guide people to adopt a new feature. And here's the key. They are intentionally selective. You don't write a big story for every tiny bug fix. That would just be noise. Okay, so we've defined our terms. We know what a changelog is, what a release note is, and what they're not. But let's get to the big question. Why bother? Why invest all this time and effort? Because, and this is the core takeaway, a well-maintained changelog isn't just boring old documentation. It's a quiet but incredibly powerful growth engine for your business.
Let's break down the strategic payoff here into 3 big wins. First up, you build massive trust.
When you're totally transparent, showing not just the big new features, but also the small fixes, even the rollbacks, it creates this incredible sense of safety and predictability for your users. Second, you cut down on internal friction. Think about it. Support, sales, marketing, they all have one single source of truth to check. No more shoulder-tapping engineers asking, hey, did that thing ship yet? It just makes everyone's job easier. And third, you actually drive feature discovery. It's this quiet, low-pressure way for users to stumble upon new value on their own time. It feels like they're in control, which is awesome.
And look, while this is good practice for pretty much any product, for some industries it's non-negotiable. I'm talking B2B SaaS, fintech, developer tools. In these spaces, trust and predictability aren't just features. They are the foundation of the entire business. If you're silent about changes in these fields, it doesn't just create confusion, it creates suspicion. So the big question becomes, how do you actually do this in a way that scales? Because let's be real, a process that works when you're a 5-person startup is going to completely fall apart when you're a team of 50 or 500. So let's get into a practical playbook for making this whole system stick. Okay, the first big secret to making this scale is realizing you probably need 2 changelogs, not one. You need a public one and a private one. The public one is for your users. Its only job is to build confidence by communicating the stuff that actually affects their experience. But then you have the private internal one. That's for your own teams. It's the fire hose of information, all the technical details, the infrastructure changes, so everyone inside is on the same page. It's not about being secretive, it's about respecting your users' attention. And for your changelog to be useful as you grow, it has to have a dead simple, non-negotiable structure. You need these 3 things every single time. 1, a clear timestamp or version ID so people know when it happened. 2, a short, descriptive headline they can just scan. And 3, consistent categories, like new, improved, fixed. That kind of boring predictability is actually way more valuable than trying to be clever with the writing.
So how do you actually maintain this without it becoming a huge chore? Well, manual changelogs always fail. People just forget. And purely automated ones, like from a commit log, way too noisy. The model that actually scales, the one that works, is a hybrid. You use tools to automatically capture every single change as it happens, but then, and this is the key, you have a human intentionally curate that list, cleaning it up for clarity before it gets published. It's the best of both worlds. Because at the end of the day, just shipping fast isn't enough anymore. That's table stakes. The companies that are truly going to win in the long run aren't just the ones that ship often. They're the ones that communicate those changes clearly, consistently, and with respect for their users. They treat communication as a core part of the product.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Look at your own team, your own product. Does your changelog, your whole system for communicating change, depend on one person's memory? On someone remembering to write something down at the end of the week? Or is it tied directly to the reality of what's actually being shipped? Because one of those systems is incredibly fragile, and the other is built to last.